everybody, Carl here with PaveChaser. Thanks for joining the channel today. Glad to have you. I am super pumped about this video in particular because this has been a long time coming. Behind me, I've got this beautiful, black, sleek 2019 Ford Transit 250. This is the mid-roof, 148-inch wheelbase. And I finally got around to finishing out the interior. Today I'm going to make a video and kind of show you what I've done for that. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Carl, this is a motorcycle channel. Why are we doing a video on a van? And I can promise you, this has to do with motorcycles. So why don't we go take a look, and I hope you guys enjoy the tour. Now, I don't know if you guys can tell from this video, but it is a super hot, sweltering day out here right now. So to avoid sweating off various body parts, I'm gonna take the van, I'm gonna run it into the shop. Well, I'm not going to run it into it. I'm going to drive it into the shop. I'm going to put the AC on and we're going to do the tour in there. It should be more comfortable for everyone. This is amazing. Okay, so before I get started, I wanted to make a couple quick key points. I had a couple main requirements, if you would, that I needed to keep in mind when building this out. Obviously, I needed to be able to carry a motorcycle. I didn't want to just limit that to smaller motorcycles or dirt bikes. I wanted to be able to carry full-size street bikes in here, everything from sport bikes right up to cruisers and baggers, whatever it be. And building on that, I also really wanted to be able to sleep in the van without having to unload the motorcycle. Believe it or not, there is a bed system in here, and we'll get to that in a bit. After doing a bunch of research, you know, there are some van builds out there that do support carrying motorcycles or toys, and they tend to end up using a Murphy bed system or a kind of like an elevator drop-down bed system. Those are all cool. However, you do have to unload the motorcycle to be able to use those. I wanted to be able to pull over at a rest stop, you know, jump in the bed, grab some sleep, and not have to unload the bike for security reasons and for hassle reasons. Priority number 2 is I needed to maintain the cargo van's use as a cargo van. So part of what I do for a living is property management and development. As a result, I need to be able to haul large items sometimes or building materials. So I needed to be able to fit 4x8 sheets of plywood or drywall in here, and I need to be able to stack up, you know, 20, 30 of them high. It does give me a lot of flexibility for all sorts of other things. I've thrown kayaks back here. I've thrown all sorts of different things. So having all this lots of space is really nice. In fact, from inside to inside of these cabinet doors is 49 inches. No problem to fit a 4-foot wide sheet of whatever. Requirement number 3 is I really needed everything to be modular. Basically, all of like the electrical systems, the plumbing systems, I didn't want to have anything that was hard built into the van. So that way, if I ever get another van or another vehicle, or if I want to upgrade the systems, I can do that quite simply. And so that's really the main 3 requirements I had to keep in mind when building out the van. The construction process. I know some of you guys are going to have some questions on that. I will start by saying, with the exception of the floor and the L-track system, everything in the van was built by myself in my shop. I didn't actually do a video of the build out because, quite frankly, I had no clue what I was doing. A lot of this was kind of a learn as I go process. I did insulate the van using a 3M Thinsulate, and I found from my research that that was probably going to be the best option for me. It's a little bit pricey, but I feel that it is going to insulate it quite well, and it wasn't messy or toxic. You don't have a vapor barrier in vans. The metal walls is pretty much that, so if it does get a little bit damp or moist, I didn't want to have mold issues. As far as framing it out, I used 3/4 inch birch plywood. This is pretty much the go-to product for most people building out the furring strips. I used riv nuts so that I didn't have to drill as many holes as possible into the van. So the van has a lot of factory holes that the riv nuts fit in nicely, and I was able to put my furring strips on there and bolt those in nice and secure. I used 3M, I believe it's 5200 marine grade adhesive. I used that on all the furring strips that attached to the metal as well. That way there was no chance that that wood was going to come loose from the metal and start squeaking, rattling, and fail in any other way. All the wood paneling that I used on the ceiling, I used 1/4 inch pine tongue and groove. Those are all pin nailed in, and of course I loaded the wood glue on those to the furring strips so that I would have as strong as a ceiling as possible, and all the walls as well. As far as the boxes for the cabinets, everything was built with 3/4 inch plywood. I wanted to have something super strong and sturdy, and so that's the route that I went. The floor is actually done in 1/2-inch plywood. The L-track system is kind of embedded into that, so it's got a nice flush finish. On top of that plywood, there's a real nice like diamond plate, rubber, non-slip, non-stain covering, and that's been holding up really well. I bought the van 4 years ago, brand new, and that was the very first thing I did. And over 4 years of abuse and wear and tear with tools and motorcycles and whatever else I've been throwing in here, it pretty much looks brand new, just like the day I got it. So that is what I use for the flooring system. Most people start their van tours either at the front of the van or the back of the van, so I figured why not shake things up and start here in the middle. So here I've got my upper cabinets. I've got 2 sets of cabinets. They are 35 inches long a piece, so that's giving me almost 6 foot length of cabinets. They're 14 inches high by 14 inches deep. So again, I got tons of storage in here. So on this side over here is where I keep both my helmets. They're both full size, full face helmets. I can carry 2 sets of gloves. And when I'm not using the wheel chock down below to carry motorcycles, I can store it up there so it's not getting in the way. I also have room in there for 2 sets of motorcycle boots. So in this one cabinet, I'm able to carry almost all my riding gear with the exception of jackets, of course. Over here on this side, this cabinet, same size as that one. This is my dresser, I guess, if you would. This is where I keep all my clothes. I've got a couple of these boxes to keep things sorted. I got tons of room for all the clothes that I need to carry. Inside, the cabinets are all lined with automotive grade felt, so it's nice and quiet. Things don't clack around in there, and gives it a nice finished look. I built the boxes out of 3/4 inch birch plywood, as I mentioned before, and then I used pine boards to build out the doors, kind of a shaker style. I routed out the insides and inset these plexiglass panels, which I feel gives it a nice kind of modern look. It's also kind of neat. You can see through it and you see the helmets in there. It's helpful to see, you know, what's in there real quick if you're looking for something. Also, I wanted to get a little bit fancy, so I built in some LED backlighting in there so I can turn them on and I can change the colors to whatever I would like at the time. Depending on the mood you're in, what kind of vibe you want to create, you can kind of have those glowing in the background. They look kind of sharp. Now, in the light, they look kind of neat, but in the dark, they really pop, and the whole inside of this van turns into whatever color you want it to be, and it's really, really super cool. All the doors have these soft open hydraulic arms, so they don't slam up. And as well, I just got a rudimentary clip here to keep things latched. There is a small lip on the inside of these as well, so these can't really slide out. Welcome to my office. Grab a seat. So I call this my office. This is basically a little workstation I have. It's about 37 inches long by 12 inches deep. The countertop is made out of pine. It holds my laptop nicely. The Ford Transits are actually built in a way that there's paneling that you can build bump outs, I guess, and take advantage of some extra space. So I did build those in here. That gives me an extra, 3.5, 4 inches. I put a shelf in here, and I actually bought this from IKEA. It's actually called Moslanda. It's their picture frame wall shelf. And I just ran it through the table saw, cut the back off it, and it gives me a nice clean lip here so that anything I have stored in this little sill doesn't come sliding out while I'm driving. I have my charging station here, so this is where I've got a little USB hub. I've got a bunch of ports on there that I can charge my GoPro batteries, drone batteries, my iPad. This lip's also nice because I can actually have a coffee, a Ducati branded coffee, not sponsored. Anyways, I can have a coffee in here, and I set that coffee there. That way if I'm working and I accidentally bump something, it doesn't hit that and splash all over my electronics. Over here is kind of like the little bit of the control system for the lighting in the van. I do have a receptacle, and in that receptacle I have USB A and C built right into it as well. Up here, this is where I control all the LED for the upper cabinets, and as well I have built-in LED backlighting in all my bump outs. And this controls these pot lights, so I can kind of go with whatever feel or vibe I'd like to have depending on the moment. And right now I'm feeling a bit purple. Underneath here I have these 2 cabinets. Normally I carry my laptop bag in here. I also have room in here for additional water. So right now I've got 1 water tank in here. It's a 5-gallon, 20-liter tank. I can actually fit 2 of those in there. So if I'm going to be going somewhere off-grid and I'm a little bit worried about not having enough drinking water, I can use this kind of as a backup storage for water in addition to what I have in the kitchen side. Here I've got kind of a closet wardrobe. This is where I put my motorcycle jackets. These bike jackets get really bulky, especially the leather ones with all the armor in them, so it's a nice place to store those. A Hawaiian shirt if the occasion calls for it. And another jacket in here. And in behind there, you'll see I have another bump out. And again, it was just a space that was there. I just decided not to waste it. I end up using that for all my toiletries. I put a couple of these plexiglass shelves in here, so that way I can put other things in there. Nice place to hide some sunglasses or miscellaneous storage if you want to kind of keep it hidden in behind the jackets. It is backlit as well with all the other panels, so it's kind of gives it a cool look. Down here, I have another shelf. You could put shoes or whatever. I end up right now just using it for all my camera stuff. Okay, and down here I have my wiring room. As I mentioned from the beginning of the video, one of my objectives was to keep this very modular. And so how I achieve that is the entire power system in this van is basically this Bluetti AC 200 Max. This runs everything in the van from an electrical standpoint. There's two types of power that you use when setting up a van. Typically, you've got your DC and your AC. AC is going to be like your receptacles for things like your coffee makers, anything else you'd plug into a wall, like a laptop, etc. And your DC is going to be more for things like your LED lights and your max air fans and maybe a water pump, things like that. So as far as the AC goes, I basically have three receptacles and I used extension cords for the wire. And I just cut the end off the extension cord and I wired it to the receptacle. Then I simply have a power bar where the three extension cords plug into. And whenever I want to energize those receptacles, all I simply do is plug in this one power bar and they're good to go. As far as the DC goes, for 12 volt, again, all my LED lighting, all my puck lights, all my ceiling lights, fan, they all use DC, and that's all wired down here as well. And I have a Blue Seas fuse panel that they all run to, so each light and each device gets its own little fuse. And then that's running to a cord here that plugs into my DC output on the Bluetti. So in order to get the van fully energized, all I do is set this in here, plug in that plug, and plug in this plug, and she's good to go. If ever I need to have power on a job site, or if let's say I'm going camping in another vehicle, I can easily unplug those, pull this out, and I've got all this power with me wherever I want to go. So it's very mobile. If I ever want to upgrade it, it's just a matter of unplugging those two things and putting the new unit in. As far as charging this, I do have the solar panels that came with it. They're kind of mobile solar panels, so I pull them out and throw them on the roof or beside the van whenever I need to. The long-term plan, of course, like I mentioned, was to put a roof rack on the roof and get some permanent full-time panels up there. But for the time being, that's what works well. I can also charge this from the alternator while I'm driving the van. So typically, as long as I'm not staying at a site for more than 3 or 4 days, this is going to be fully charged just by driving. And if I do get in a pinch, back here in this little cubby, I do have the charger for it. So I can plug this right into a wall. I can charge this from empty to full in about 4 hours with this. So in a pinch, that also works. So we're going to flip over here to the other side of the van. This is the kitchen side. I have two upper cabinets exactly the same as the other side, so 35 inches apiece, almost 6 feet in length, lots of storage. Up here is where I keep my food, all the non-perishables, kind of in between adventures right now, so we don't have a whole lot of food in here, but I got some chili in an emergency. This is where I keep my cutlery. It's kind of a little plastic drawer system. We got our sporks and knives and little mini tongs and other various utensils that would come in handy. And over here is where I keep all the cooking gear. There's quite a bit of space in here. A lot of it's unused. I kind of use this as a kind of a junk drawer, if you would, for miscellaneous items. Over here is where I kind of keep all the cooking hardware. And I've got a little strap on here that I can cinch so that none of this is rattling around or making any noise. Got a nice hot pot here. You could pretty much cook whatever you want in there. You could cook some soups or anything you would use a wok for, you could cook on that. And I got a good old cast iron skillet. Can't live without my cast iron. And here I have my butane stove. So this is nice and handy. I can take that out. This hot pot actually fits right on there like that, locks in, so I can basically cook right on here. By being mobile, I can cook over here if I want. I can cook over at the dining table. If I want to cook outside, take it outside. So I like having that flexibility by not having a stove kind of like built into the cupboards that way. And of course with butane, you can't cook inside without ventilation. So whenever I use that in here, all the doors are open and there's a lot of ventilation. I also have my induction top. It's important for me to have the flexibility for cooking because sometimes if I have a big motorcycle in here, space is limited and I just take all this stuff over to the dining table and I can cook all over there. And down here, we have the kitchen counter. About 12 inches deep. This one's 5 feet long almost. So you got lots of prep area here to prep food. I do have another bump out on this side, and that's giving me another 3.5, 4 inches, so a little bit more extra working space. Here I have a stainless steel sink. This is 16 inches by 7 inches, so enough room for us to wash the dishes as we need to. I do have a faucet with running water. A click of a button, we have water. This is a cool little device. This is a faucet, it's USB powered. Basically, it's just, the whole unit is this. The pump's built right into it. You got this little hose that runs into a water jug under here, and that just sucks the water up, and I can adjust it as necessary. When the battery gets low, I just simply plug it in behind into the USB here and charge it up, and it's good to go. I got the same little lip system on this bump out, that IKEA Moslanda shelf cut down so that nothing can slide out. Keep our ceramic mugs in here. Motorcycle themed, of course. Up here, I have a little container that I put my napkins on. It's got a little 3M adhesive strip there that I can just kind of slide that in there. I went with napkins rather than paper towel because paper towel takes so much room. You get this big roll and you have to buy it. With napkins, when I start getting low, I just go through a drive-thru and ask for extra napkins and boom, we're stocked up again. I've got my control here for the pot lights, another receptacle, USBs in there as well, my little coffee machine. This doesn't move because it's Velcroed down, like really good, so I can remove it if I need to, but it pretty much stays there and I just plug that in and we're ready to brew. Right over here on this wall, I got my little scrub brush. It's got your soap, it's got your brush, your scraper. Most of the kitchen stuff in here is geared toward hikers, and that's because a lot of this gear is doubling as my motorcycle camping gear. So if you follow the channel at all, you'll know I do a bunch of motorcycle camping. A lot of the gear I use camping on the motorcycle, I use in here because it's super small, tiny, light, strong. I really like it. Right up here, I got my Gerber cleaver. This little thing is really cool. It's got a lot of weight to it. It's chopping vegetables, comes in real handy, chopping meat, etc. Nice little clip up there so it doesn't go flying around. Here, I got my little spice rack. These are just held on by these little adhesive spice holders, and I bought those on Amazon, and so I can kind of put as many as I need to. Inside here, I have some pockets built into this bump out, and this is where I store my plates and bowls. So here I've got 3 bowls, believe it or not. These are collapsible. Sea to Summit, great hiking bowls, super lightweight, super durable, and so I got 3 of those. They fit right in there. Oh, I got some more stuff tucked in there too. An egg flipper. Up here, my plates, and so same idea. These are Sea to Summit plates, fold out, so you got a little bit of a rim there. The nice thing about these is the back side of these are cutting boards as well, so if you want more cutting boards, your plates can double as cutting boards. And this is one of my kitchens for the motorcycle camping, but I keep it in here when I'm not motorcycle camping. What's important here is I have a pot. And so this is what I can boil water, cook some pasta in, boil some potatoes, beans, whatever. And I got the nice black 1/4-inch corner piece around the bump out just to give it a nice finished look. Under the sink, I have my gray water tank. This is a 5-gallon, 20-liter tank. The sink basically drains directly into that. On the back side of this door, I've got some hooks for some rags and a hot pot grabber. And inside here, I keep my little broom and dustpan. I got storage down there for some garbage bags, miscellaneous things. This is where I keep my butane cans. 6 of them in there. If I need, I can put some more over there so I can really stock up on that. Over here, I've got my fresh water. So this is what the sink faucet is drawing from. Again, another 5-gallon, 20-liter tank. I got some storage in there for some miscellaneous things. I actually have my jet boil right now, which I use for motorcycle camping. And I have a little space heater that I can pull out, plug into the Blue Eddy, and kind of take the chill out of the van if the situation calls for it. Here I have yet another 20-liter 5-gallon jug. This one's green because it is not actually drinking water. This is the water that I use in my shower. Oh yes, we have a shower. And moving upwards toward the front of the van, I do have a third seat here. This seat is fully legal for a passenger while riding. It's got a seat belt built in. The seat does fold down and fold up out of the way. This table is basically a general use table. We use it as a dining table. Sometimes I'll use it to cook on. Sometimes I'll use it to do some work on if I want some extra table space. Up here I got a mount for an iPad so I can flip this down. Over here I've got a little fan. This is a USB powered fan that actually charges, got a battery in it, and it's full 360 degrees. Sometimes I'll grab it, move it over to the kitchen, or use it in the office. Over in this corner here, I have the controls for the Max Air fan. I got the controls for the ceiling lights. All those LEDs are fully color changeable, as well as the controller for the backlit bump outs and for the upper cabinets. Underneath this dining table here, I have the Blue Eddy, which you've already seen. I have my backpack, a little mini fridge. This is basically a Best Buy mini fridge, a standard mini fridge, nothing special for a van, 120 bucks. I can unplug it, put it in the garage when I'm not traveling with the van, and it becomes a mini fridge for the garage. On the other side of this table, I have a little shelf. Underneath that shelf, I have my garbage mounted. This is just held in by Velcro and 2 clips. But this table is not just a table. This table is also my bed. All I do is I get up on here, use this ledge as a little pillow, and no, I'm just kidding. That's not how it works. This table is probably one of the features of this van that I'm most proud of. It took a lot of time to figure out how to make this work as a table and how to convert into a bed. It's not attached to the walls at all. The way this attaches to the van is the exact same way the seat attaches to the van. We have a single post back here going all the way down to a metal plate, and there are 8 bolts holding it down. Also, by building it this way, I was able to fit all this stuff underneath it. And in behind, I've got a couple stools and a couple other things. So it also makes it very usable underneath it for storing things. This is where I keep my blankets. I've got 2 different blankets in there. So how this works is I can flip open this top, and in this bin is where I keep all the bedding. So I've got my mattress, I've got a sleeping bag, I've got pillows, air mattresses, and whatever I need to convert this into a bed. Pull out this front metal piece, and that slides out like so. Up inside here, I got all these custom foam pieces cut out, so all the components I need to build the bed frame are there. First thing I do is I take out these 2 legs, and I drop them right in the little receivers. Next, I pull out the 3 rails, and these slide right in there. And then I can lift that up and slide that on that leg. And I pull out the middle rail. That slides in the middle piece there, and I pull out the last rail, and that slides in that last slot right there. Same thing here, I'll lift this up, slide that in. I got these 2 lateral pieces here. There's little wing nuts attachments. Do the same to the other side. Then I grab this face plate that was originally in the table, and I slide it into the back rails. Now that rail is in there, I basically take this. This folds out like a Z fold. And here I have my bed platform. Then I just pull out my foam mattress, which rolls up real nice and tight. And this is a 2-inch foam. It's going to actually decompress, and it becomes 2 inches. If I want to get real fancy, I can put my sheet on. If I just want something quick, I can just throw the sleeping bag down, but reach over here, grab my pillow. And the way the seat underneath is, if I want extra storage space under here, it'll still fold up and out of the way, and I have all this space down here. And there you have it, a fully functional bed. I am 6'2", and the space from the inside of this bump out to the inside of that door is actually 6'3.5", meaning I can lay down here completely stretched out and I'm not touching the other end. This iPad mount makes a convenient place to lay here and watch some Netflix shows. I have quick and easy access to my MaxxAir fan controller. The MaxxAir fan is right above the bed system here, so I can lay down here and get a nice breeze and have access to all my lights. And the height of this bed allows me to sit on here without hitting my head on the ceiling, so I don't have to slouch at all. I can sit completely straight up. The way the bed's built, I don't have to take it down to drive, so I can leave it configured if I know that I'm not going to be doing a whole lot other than driving and sleeping. When I'm ready to get some rest, I can pull over, climb in here, go to sleep. The motorcycles fit in the back area without me having to remove them, and mission accomplished. Back here I got a couple neat features. Over here I have my hot water shower system. So this is the Joulka system. I'm not going to get into details on how it works. I'm going to do a separate video on that and show you what it looks like in action. But the general gist of it is I've got a propane canister here that I plug into this. Inside this little cabinet I got a mirror. Open that up. I've got my water filter. This runs into one of my water jugs, the green water jug I showed you earlier in the kitchen. I got a shower head here that plugs in there. This is magnetic, so that'll snap anywhere on the van. Turn this on and basically it's hot water on demand. In behind the table bed system I actually have a pop-up tent that I can throw up here. It's 4x4x7 and so that gives you some privacy. Up top I have a shelf and that's going to allow me to store some of the other pieces here. I got some extension hoses for it and some additional propane tanks. So this is all kind of self-contained on this back door over here. Here I have a couple storage bins. This is for some microfiber towels. I got a little cabinet here which I can store some motorcycle chain lube, wax, some bug spray, some tools, car wax. I like to keep my things nice and shiny. And here I got a vacuum. So this comes in handy to get all that sand out of the van when I'm tracking in, when I bring a bike in, or if I'm at the beach or something. That L-track will catch a lot of dirt inside it that a broom won't get. I can access that vacuum with the doors closed, so I don't need to open up the back doors to get access to it. Right here in this cabinet next to the kitchen, I kind of glossed over that earlier, is a storage compartment for the motorcycle ramp. I can pull this right out, and I always have the motorcycle ramp with me to load and unload the bikes. It keeps it nice and out of the way. Down here I've got all my tie straps, connection points for the L tracking system. When this is closed I still have access to all my tie straps. I did leave the factory tie down points on the back corners, so if I need to tie the bike down from behind I can still access those and just leave that hatch open, and I can secure the bike from the front and from behind. Well, that about wraps it up for this van tour, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys got some ideas for your own projects, maybe got some inspiration for some of your own projects. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment. What did you like about it? What did you hate about it? And you know what? I'm gonna be releasing some more videos on motorcycle camping, motor travel, van camping, moto van camping. You get the point. Make sure to subscribe if you like these type of videos, and we will catch you on the next one.